Utilize in News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on yet another edition of your favorite online television program, Youth Weekly on UTV Africa. We bring you highlights of news making headlines in the week in the language and perspective of young people. My name is Helda Apolos.
And I am Success Ekpeyong. These were some of the news that made headlines during the course of the week. Nigeria spends 10.6 billion naira to boost production.
Lagos Coral wins at Global Content.
Fashola OK's 66 million naira intervention for fishermen.
CBN assists in recovery of 9 billion naira illegal change.
Nigeria attracts 480 billion naira investment for sugar production.
World Bank mobilizes $14.7 billion for Africa's development prospects in 2013 fiscal year.
We must all rise to liberate our people, Tinubu.
Nigeria gets additional $350 million fund for water resources.
Federal government approves 109.4 billion naira for varsities and others.
And Ekiti plans security cameras to tackle crime. Well, these were some of the issues that hit the headlines during the week. Join us in a moment as we engage in insightful discussions on some of the key issues in the news this week. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Youth Weekly, Utilize in News.
We are part of the solution.
We bring you youth perspective on issues. Youths have a voice.
We have a story to tell.
Youth Weekly, Utilize in News.
You're welcome back to the show. This is our discussion segment where we take on some of the headlines that happened during the course of the week. We want to use this opportunity to extend our condolence to our brethren in the north, Kano State in particular, after the last incident, the bomb blast. We pray that God grants you the fortitude to bear your loss in this season. Elder, it's amazing that we are facing this bomb blast issue at this time.
Well, it's a reality that we just have to get over it. And I can see in the headlines that Ekiti State is actually taking a very strong measure to use contemporary technology to tackle a contemporary problem, which in my opinion is actually a great step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. And we need to encourage all that.
Yeah, it reminds me of the movie 24. You know, we need city, planetaries unit.
Yes, we need Chloe.
Jack Bao and Chloe.
And Chloe to come around.
Yes, we need people equipped with the right knowledge to be able to employ the use of this technology to tackle some of these issues. You know, and I think that will go a long way in checkmating the security situations that we're experiencing.
Yeah, and interestingly also in some of our headlines today, there have been wonderful things. We're seeing huge investments coming into Nigeria, lots of money flowing into our country and into Africa too. Amazingly, we want to say this is good. This is good for us now.
Yeah, particularly you see, last week we were talking about unemployment and how that the lack of diversification in Nigeria's economy is one of the reasons responsible for the state of unemployment.
The high rate of unemployment
among the young people especially. Now, with money like this coming into different sectors, for instance, the 66 million naira that Fashola is okaying as intervention for fishermen is going to boost fishing in the economy. You know,
I grew up in Lagos, all right, and of course Lagos has a lot of this riverine, parts around it, and you find a lot of people fishing, and most of those people fish with local boats and stuff, with their nets and all that. It's quite amazing and interesting that this amount of money is going to be pumped to support them. I mean, that would be very nice. That means we start seeing a lot of people coming into that line of business, even young people, fishing, and we having more fish, to consume.
Of domesticated fish farming is actually quite becoming trendy.
Yes.
So you see people within the confines of their compound, they're able to set up a fish farm of sorts. They start with fingerlings, and then they get all these fish feeds, just like you do poultry.
That's true.
Fishing is actually taking on that line, and it's actually amazing how much you can actually make from a little
pond around your house. I think governors.
Yes, governors. A lot of knowledge is required, especially when you have to get the fingerlings and stuff like that. So it's very good business.
Very good business.
It's a good initiative.
Yes, we really encourage our government to take steps like this, especially those of them around riverine areas.
Yes.
You know,
I think we're gradually going back into expanding our reach in terms of our agricultural output, and that is very key for Nigeria, especially because that was actually where we started. So we're going back to the beginning.
So young people in Lagos State, if you ever thought about fishing before, get back to it. Now is the time. Yes, there's also the case of sugar. Over 480 billion naira is coming into sugar production. This is good. So it's no longer Dangote that will be doing sugar in Nigeria.
And I hope not. A monopoly of power is actually very dangerous.
Yes, dangerous.
A very dangerous trend. And if you look at the trend of developed nations, their prosperity comes from the wide reach of prosperity itself. It's not just a single person. It's actually basically an average person has the tendency or an enabling environment to thrive financially, just like any other person.
You know, one of the challenges of monopoly is that it makes the entry point for other small business difficult.
Of course.
You know, so they find it, in fact, some of them don't have the morale to stand up to do such business because they feel somebody's already dominating the market.
Yes, and it also isolates power to just one side.
Yes.
You know, and it becomes the case of the have versus the have-nots like we are having.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the greatest challenges I feel we have is the great divide between the have and the have-nots. You see, when you check the number of people living below the poverty line and those living on the poverty line, and then those above the poverty line, you see the margin is actually quite fearful.
Yeah.
And that is something that the government should strive doggedly to actually try to reconcile.
Yeah.
So
across this is good. We can see for education, we can see for Africa.
Yes.
All right. Huge sums of money coming in. You could check our headlines and you'll see all of these very amazing things, and we hope that this fosters the kind of development we need in Africa. However, we don't want to say that Africa should continue depending on this sort of aid.
Well, that was something I was about to point out.
All right.
You see, our continuous dependence on aid, on foreign aid to be specific, has kind of hampered our mentality, because I feel the greatest damage you can ever do to a person is not physical, it's mental.
Yeah.
And you know, when you are mentally incapacitated, your body will follow.
You know, Elder, the statement is poverty alleviation.
Yes.
We should be encouraging wealth creation.
Yes, I think the paradigm
should shift.
Confront it should actually be the restructure.
Yeah.
Like you said, from poverty alleviation
to wealth creation.
There's a lot of difference between the two. The world of difference.
Yeah. People should begin to grow a capacity to think in this direction of creating wealth rather than being helped all the time. Because a lot of African countries have been receiving help over the years, yet we're still receiving till now.
Exactly.
You know, so
have you ever heard a situation where somebody becomes rich by begging?
Okay.
Have you ever seen any person in your exposure, in your travels, in your lifetime that has become rich by receiving aid? You know, that's the question we need to ask. You know, aid begins to appeal more to sympathy and to our, weakness, but it fails to actually, view things from the point of our potential, and that is what has been mixed. And I feel like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala was saying in one of the TED Talks, recently, that aid, when channeled properly, like into building
capacity for people,
is actually the best investment we can do with the aid we are receiving. But Africa must actually see beyond receiving aid into building their own potential and harnessing their human capital, and use that as a pivot, as a springboard to development.
Yeah, there's another issue on this, because when Obasanjo left power, he cleared the debts, right, of the country. Now it's like we're piling up the Okonjo-Iweala, and she is still the minister here, and we are beginning to grow in our debt.
We are relapsing.
Just like you said, we just hope that this money is properly channeled, in the right direction, so that we can also relieve ourselves in the near future of this debt.
Well, once in a while, one cannot avoid borrowing, but there has to be a very strategic plan to be able to channel the funds so gotten into the right channel, so that it can productively be able to offset whatever debt accrues as a result of that, and then also it's able to help us realize our plan and our development.
National development, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, two things, we're going to try to do this as fast as possible. All right. These huge funds are coming. We've had issues in the country about accountability.
Okay. Yes.
All right. But I wanted to say something about this. How can we deliver properly, accountably, have our leaders account properly for this amount of money? Okay. What kind of leadership, what kind of human beings can actually give us, a proper account of the usage of this? Not just having the figures, but we can see a reflection of these figures in things around us. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Well, success, accountability, especially at the level of the federal government, is something that has to carry everybody along. Meaning the government cannot check itself. The people will have to also step up in making sure that the government, are able to come through with transparency policies. We have to be able to provide the check and balances, and that's where the role of civil society organizations comes in, and other regulatory agencies.
Yeah.
Now, there's an organization, for instance, Follow the Money. What they do is like publicly declare funds like this are traced and they are followed to see how they have been dispensed.
Yeah.
That is very critical, if we are going to checkmate corruption.
Yeah.
Now, you'll find that people who had a level of credibility go into public office, and suddenly you start hearing a lot of issues around public funds. You understand what happened? Money does something to every one of us. Somebody actually said that every one of us has a price. But in order to be able to actually keep people from that temptation in the first place, you need to be able to hold them accountable.
Yes.
So we need policies, we need structures that provide checks and balances. So we need a kind of transparency policy where these funds are actually budgeted for, and then of course whatever happens is made public, is made available to public to scrutinize and to also verify.
Thank you very much. Because of time, we'll just go straight to what Tinubu said.
Yeah.
Tinubu is giving a wake-up call to Nigerians and every one of us that we should, wake up. Every one of us, take Nigeria and Africa.
Yeah.
Personal. Let's liberate our people from the struggles, the pressure they've been through over the years, owing to bad governance.
Yeah. I actually believe that's a very valuable and patriotic statement.
My thought is that this message is not just to Nigerians, it's to Africans. People have suffered over the years. This is one time that young people in Africa need to wake up and do whatever they can, all right, to liberate their people, starting from their community, their homes, whatever they can do, they just can do something.
Yes, I believe we actually have to step up individually. You need to change your internal world before you can change the external world. So liberation actually begins with ourselves. And when we liberate ourselves, we gain the freedom and the power to be able to liberate the world.
Yeah.
So then we can form collective societies and affiliations and build it around common concerns, so that we'll be able to address our common problems together.
Elder, that was quite insightful, but this is where we'll be wrapping up today. Unfortunately, we'd like our viewers to know that you are the transformation Africa needs, right? The transformation of Africa starts from you. We'd like you to get to our Facebook page, like the page, and drop your comment on any of these issues that we've raised today. Also, we've been able to say that if you noticed any sector of the economy in Nigeria or in Africa, in your country, all right, that is working, all right, want you to drop your comment, tell us about it, and why you believe that sector is really working. And until next week, we say goodbye.